our topic today is keep it simple, sweetie, or keep it simple, stupid. I don't know which one you prefer, but one of the things after reading your profiles and some of the answers to your questions, it became real obvious that everybody's kind of, learned that lesson of focusing on less can help you grow bigger and better businesses. I know it took me a little while to learn that also, because as a new agent, a lot of folks, they try out the newest and latest and greatest thing that they think someone else is doing well that's going to help them grow their business. And it takes a while to mature into the reality that, less sometimes is better. Whether it be focusing on a few niches, focusing on a different style of lead generation. There's lots of different ways that people kind of keep their businesses simple. And what I'm going to do is, I'm Deanna Dopslat. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Got a husband and wife team. I've been doing real estate, about 15 years now, and EXP year and a half, yay, which was the best decision ever. And I want each of you, kind of based on the outline, to tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll kind of move on into the topic. And I'm gonna start with Jim first, go to Curtis, and then to Spike. You ready, Jim?
Okay, I am ready. Good morning. Nice to meet all of you. Nice to meet you, Deanna. You look beautiful today. Thanks for taking the time and doing this. My name's Jim Brooks. I've been here in the Vegas market for about 17 years, and I've been with EXP. It'll be 2 years, the end of June. So it's the same as you, Deanna. It was a great decision. Curtis twisted my arm to move over, and I'm in the group with Curtis, and he was great. He came out for my opening, and it was just been an all around great decision. Hasn't been disappointed at all with the move. Talking about niches or where I specialize in, I've met my wife out here. A little bit about myself. I'm married, have two teenage children that I abandoned, as I told you, for a day. And I just kind of fell into a niche. I'd like to say it was strategic and I planned it, but I didn't. High-rise niche down on the Las Vegas Strip, and that's been the core to my business for the last 17 years. And we're not the biggest producer. I mean, we're solid. I've been right around 200 transactions we average for the past decade, but those numbers have been declining, not going the right way. And I've downsized my team, and kind of what we're talking about, getting back to simplicity. I was getting too big. I wasn't a great manager of people. I'm more of a people person, a relationship person. So going back to what works, and it definitely works better this way. So I can relate to what we're going over for sure.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
All right, Curtis, go ahead.
Yeah, good. It's good to be with you all, and Deanna and Jim. It's good to see your smiling faces again. It's quite good to spend some time with you. So, Curtis Johnson, out in the Phoenix market, been in the business almost 22 years, and just kind of focus on just the residential resale. I built a team after I'd been in the business about a year, so I've had a team about 20 years. And over that period of time, over the last probably 15 years, we've averaged between 200 and 400 sides. We've had between obviously 0 and maybe 40 people on my team going through that and trying to find different strategies. And it's, there's different things that work and different things that don't. We've sold over 5,000 homes and had, been in the top 50 teams in America by the Wall Street Journal. And probably done all the different things, but always learning, right? Always trying to find different things. And been with EXP a little over 2 years. It's been the best decision for my business to help simplify things, going from being a broker of just my team, which I was a independent just on my team for about 12 years, to giving the broker responsibilities to someone else who can focus on my team and also focus on business partners. So I've really got involved in trying to help attract people to the company and help pitch in where I can and attracting great partners. And over the last 2 years, grown that to over 2,400 people. And it's a pretty insane opportunity for all of us. And it's just good to be on with you guys.
Yeah, I'm Spike Feinhoff. I run a team with my wife, Amy. We keep a pretty small team. We usually have 1 or 2 people that work with us. Right now, we actually have 3. But for the last 5 years, it's been us and 1 person. We do about 65, 70 transactions a year, about $30 million in sales. We're highly focused on a small neighborhood, well, a good-sized neighborhood. We started our business, we did a sort of drew a line around 3,500 homes and just marketed into that area. And that's sort of our specialty, is we focus in on a small territory. And profit. I'm really passionate about profit.
Okay, all right, Spike, good. You know, our topic is keeping it simple, stupid for a big business and revenue share. And Spike, I'm going to come back to you and just say, you know, how does this philosophy show up in your business? You know, what 3 things, if you had to pick 3 or a few or less, do you focus on in your team to get the most results? I know when we were learning a little bit more about you, you spoke about your geo farming, Facebook, open houses, and your community involvement. And, you know, and how do you identify those things, and what drove you to pick those?
Yeah, we're pretty simple. So I've been selling real estate for about 8.5 years, and it was a career change for me. And it just made sense to market a very small territory and not a large territory. There in Maryland, I know agents that sell in Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia, you know, West Virginia, DC, and I honestly don't know how they do it. So we just focused in on a small area, about 3,500 homes, and we do a ton of open houses. So we do open houses from 12 to 2 and 3 to 5, Saturday and Sunday. We're actually rolling them out again right now, by appointment only. Talk about that more later. And by doing open houses and marketing to a small area, we kind of know who all the buyers are for the area. We may not represent them, but we know exactly who they are and what they're looking for. So as we get listings coming on board, it's almost like matchmaking, right? Like, we know this person wants to buy this house. We have this listing coming up. We just put it together. We also, we hired Hank Avick as a coach. Hank is with EXP. He's a maniac. He's the grand master of social media, and he designed our Facebook strategy. He's got a program called 36 of Life, and it's really amazing. We employ that. So we view Facebook as our CRM. We stay in touch with our customer base just by being active with them on Facebook, commenting on what they post, you know, commenting with a question, so we go back and forth. Also, it's very simple for us to just sit at Starbucks in our neighborhood and in the morning and see 10 customers every day and stay in touch with our customer base that way. So we're not super strong on technology, but we're great on relationships. So we're involved in every poker game I can get to. I'm not a great poker player, but it's a great social thing. Every barbecue, you know, just being active in the community. We also sponsor several Little League teams, sporting events, things like
that. Okay, all right. Thanks, Spike. Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about the same thing? You know, how does keeping it simple show up in your business? You know, how did you decide to focus on your niche, and, you know, and what made you make that decision?
Yeah, again, my niche is on high rises on the Las Vegas Strip, which is just that alone was exciting enough. I'm a farm boy from a small town in the Midwest, so that was exciting to me when I started getting some leverage on that. It wasn't a strategy. I attempted a marketing piece with a new project coming up with a partner of mine 15 years ago, and it took off, and I kind of stayed with it, and he went in a different direction. And so it's a lot like Spike had said. We same thing. I have a farm that's about twice the size of his. My clientele is 19 high-rise projects, about 5,600 owners. And while Spike's doing meeting them at Starbucks and having poker events, mine are all out of state or international. So we have to really focus on our different marketing channels to make sure that we're staying in front of them from every different aspect. And the hard copy farming is still one of our higher ROIs, and a lot of people, I think, kind of get away from that with today's technology. And the longer you do it, the longer and more effective and usually profitable it is if you're consistent. It's definitely all about the consistency, and then having the right calls of action and the right message on the marketing that you're doing. But where we've been able to take it to a different level is building a consistent database, staying in touch with these people. And so now we're not only hitting them through their mailbox, but we're hitting them through mass texting, mass emails, obviously picking up the phone, calling works well. Just doesn't work well when you're very short-staffed and rebuilding like I'm doing. But that has been a key to our success. And same kind of as Spike had said, knowing who your buyers are. And one of the decisions I made to kind of go back and get into production again after being out for 5-6 years was we had a really high percentage of our listings that we double-ended, and it was about 56% of our listings we double-ended. And that doesn't take many transactions to become profitable. And so we're able to run 200 transactions with a team of 4 people. Which really leaves good profit margins. And the numbers started declining to where we were losing that, and we were growing with agent count and not staying focused on the intimacy of who these clients are and who our buyers are. And so that's now what I'm doing coming back in, is trying to get that percentage of doubling our listings back to a much higher percentage. And so, yeah, that's really our main niche, our main focus. The adjustments we're having to make now is mass texting, mass emailing is getting to be very difficult with all the rules and regulations on it. So the really honing in and be able to figure out how to have the target audiences and how to hit these people on the social media platform when we're not in their mailbox is a tactic that we're really trying to master right now, and have a ways to go, but working on it every day.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. Curtis, you're kind of in a unique situation, at least from my observation. You've got your team.
1 second, guys.
So you've got your team, and you also have a different side of your business, which really is your focus on your rev share group. Because it is one of the more impressive ones. And so tell me a little bit about how keeping it simple works for your team, and also how it works for you on your rev share growth.
Yeah, I think both of them, the same concepts are really focus on 2 different pillars, and that's being to grow your audience, right? That's our job every day. You know, you can call it all kinds of things. You can call it farming, you can call it prospecting, you can call it lead generating. I just say it's building your audience, right? People who's listening to you. And I think one of the biggest, easiest ways on social media. So building your audience. And the second one is, what's your digital body language? It used to be, 20 years ago, was people looked at what was your resume, or they'd even pull you up in the yellow pages or whatever. Then it became a website, right? That people would say, okay, they'd come to your website and they'd look at, do you exist or do you not, right? There were still agents that didn't exist. Now that happens on social media, where even if they're not friends of yours, they can pull you up and they can look. And what I say is, what's your digital body language? And almost everybody, people that come to me and go, Curtis, I want to grow a big rev share group, or I want to grow my business. It always comes back down to these 2 pillars. I say, okay, first, log out of your social media and then put your name in and pull it up and see, what does somebody outside see? What is a client that's looking to hire you as a seller, or even an agent that maybe is in your market that's thinking about joining EXP, but they don't really know what to do. And they click on your name and they pull it up and they look. It's really kind of sad. Most people, you'd think they were selling candles, because you just have no idea what they're doing. They've got the broker listed as 3 brokers ago. The only thing that you see is they're reposting political crap or stuff that's not good, or it's not positive. And so I just say, look at what's your digital body language. What are you telling everybody else about yourself without telling them? And so that should be in everything. It should be, there's people go out there and they talk, oh, I'm great at video, and yet they never do videos. There's people that, I'm great, I sell all kinds of houses, and you look at their feed, there's never any houses that have been sold. And so you see houses that have been listed, but never that have been sold. So we just have to kind of take our mind and our lens away from this real estate, it's inbred, if you will, to kind of going, what is the public, or what would someone outside look at this? And so I call that your digital body language, right? Is what does it say about you when you look at yourself? And, ideally, 1 out of every 3 posts or so should be about real estate. And it should be showing signs of success. is there anything in here that's saying people are looking at you as the expert, or are you always quoting the newspaper? Are you always quoting TV? Well, you're essentially saying they're the expert. So you've got to create your digital body language as a winner. And as you do that, people will be attracted to you. But most everybody can never get past that point. They can't ever even go in and change, you know, what their employer is, or what their, you know, what do they actually do? Or is there, I say, if you were on trial as being a successful EXP agent, would you be convicted? And most people would walk free. They'd never be convicted of that. I want to be convicted, right? You see, even just behind me, I put little things that speak to success, that speak to EXP, that speak to these different things, so that if someone were to look at this, they would go, wow, that's somebody that's winning at this. And as you do that, then you start to grow your audience, whether that's farming, lead generating, or whatever else. But you know, you take the lowest agents, the lowest paid agents, and they might have 200, 300, 400 people that would look to them for advice. You find the highest paid agents, they've got, you know, 4,000, 5,000 friends on Facebook or anything else, and people are looking at them. So that's one of the easiest ways. How do you expand that group that looks at you as that expert? So increase your audience and change your digital body language.
All right, Curtis, that's real helpful. All right, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. So one of our other questions that we looked at was, you know, how do you stay focused or hold accountable and measure the success for your key areas of focus? And I know every one of us is going to have something a little bit different. So let's kind of go back to Spike. And Spike, tell me, with your community involvement and your geofarming and everything, how do you stay focused on that? How do you measure it and know that it's really working? Unmute, please.
It's really just our everyday life. You know, Gene Frederick's book, I think it's 101 Ways to Market or Grow Your Real Estate Business. And he's 100% right. I mean, there's hundreds of ways to do it. You need to be great at 3 or 4, right? Don't do too many, just be great at what you do. And we're just great at being social. So we accept any invitation to go anywhere and do anything and have honest conversation with people. You know, we don't throw up real estate on people when we talk to them. We talk to them as human beings. We try to make a connection with them. And we consistently do that. So whenever we see somebody at a grocery store or a Starbucks, I know I'm kind of focused on Starbucks in this conversation, or other places, you know, it's really more about how are you doing? It's not about, let me tell you about real estate. Real estate will always come. Even as a sales technique, I always make it sort of a sales training for me that if I'm pumping gas, I'll have conversations with the person next to me at the pump and try to slide real estate in and see how I can do it and just entertain myself. So, but really our focus and the way we kind of measure ourselves is by our sales that we're doing and the money that we're generating and the profits we're generating. Not to get too far off topic, but early on in our real estate career, we got to a point, I think we had like $24 million in sales like by 4th year. And we think our income was like 550. And I thought I had my spreadsheet and I was just pretending, you know, playing pretend with myself. And taxes came around and I pushed it to the very last day. And I remember the accountant telling me, I owe $135,000 today. And I just remember that feeling in my stomach. We immediately got a P&L. They got super smart about it. So we pretty much judge our business weekly on our P&L. That is what it's all about. There's a lot of entrepreneurial poverty in this country. There's a lot of realtor poverty because this is an industry where I think sometimes people are more focused on the perception of making money than actually making money. And we really judge ourselves by our income and our savings and IRAs and things like that. So.
How about you, Jim? How do you really measure, one, stay focused, hold yourself accountable, and measure the success in your niche?
The one way that we like to do it is obviously with looking at the numbers, and I'm more of a relationship person, salesperson. I'm not the best implementer in the world of business management. Don't have a lot of experience in that. I came from 2 degrees in the medical field and kind of fell into real estate. So I realized very quickly what I wasn't smart enough to implement and intelligent enough to do myself. And that was basically anything to do with our books, with our accounting. And I made a decision, had the opportunity, gotten introduced from one of my contacts to align myself with Streamline Business Solutions. I think that you know them, Curtis. They're out of your market. And
Yeah, we use the same one.
oh, do you? Yeah. So that's been really, really helpful because kind of as Spike had said, you kind of can lose focus of looking at production, and as you grow and expenses just kind of naturally continue to rise and you're making money, and if you're not really watching the P&Ls, they can get away from you. And I've had that happen to me. So while I'm not an expert managing and critiquing every line item of the P&Ls, you know, I do look at them monthly. And sorry, hold on one second, I should have put my phone airplane mode. I keep getting text messages. And so that's been really, really helpful to being able to watch and adjust our expenses, especially when we have any drops in our income. And I didn't have the capability, time, or experience to do that myself. And along with that, we really try to break down the ROI on our marketing. And that's something that took me a number of years to figure out the importance of that. And while I tracked where our sales were coming from, we really weren't digging in and looking at every marketing piece that we have and breaking down the expenditure on what it is, and you know, what's our ROI and our rate of return on that annually. And just little things like that, when you dial those in, it's surprising what you thought was profitable that isn't. So just real simple basics of business that don't get taught, and I think get overlooked a lot in our industry, because as we know, we're all a bunch of wild cowboys out here, and you take a top 100 producers in every market and everyone's business model is completely different. And so I think those small tactics on the P&Ls and watching the numbers are extremely critical to guiding a profitable business.
Yeah, I would agree. I know, coming from my other brokerage, when you had a lot of really big flashy teams who were top producers and everything like that, but the money was just being burnt. and you know, when you really ask them, where did your business come? How much money do you keep in the end? And you know, with all the stuff that they just wanted so much visibility, they were paying for everything. They were on buses, they were on benches, they were on Facebook, they were on Zillow. And in the end, it's like, really, where did your business come from? And a lot of people don't know that. And that's, it's sort of like growing up into being a true entrepreneur is really knowing your bottom line. So, you know, it does come back to that. So share a little bit more, Curtis, with us about how, you know, you both, whether it be your team or in your rev share group, how do you stay focused, hold accountable to certain numbers, and measure the success of those areas?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And there's no shortage of ways to lose money in real estate. You know, I remember one month years ago where I lost $80,000 in a month, and we sold, I think, 30 or 40 houses that month. And I remember just going, this is insanity, right? That there's, you know, what's the point of I could lose less and sell less houses, right? And so you can get caught up in all those different things, and you have to go back and look and make sure it's not just tracking the numbers, tracking the right numbers with that, right? And so going through and you know, it's one of those things, as entrepreneurs, we take a bigger risk, right? By doing that, and there's a bigger reward as you go through there. But just on a short thing is, you know, just planning out your day every day, right? So I plan out, we've got what we call our top 4. So our top 4 things for the day. So if you get done with your day and those 4 things are done, are you going to feel like a win? Like, wow, I nailed it. Because so often we just are so busy reacting that we never proactively do that. So planning that out, ideally planning that out the night before. And then one of the things I've done right from the beginning is the first thing every morning is I used to input the numbers every day, like number of calls, all the different stuff like that. Leads generated and stuff like that. Now, obviously, it happens automatically, but reviewing your numbers every single day, that I think that is the biggest way for agents to scale up their business. Is you can't scale what you don't know. And so often we don't want to know, right? We don't want to know, you know, things aren't going well. But every morning I get up and I check, you know, I check my business and also my revenue share, how that's going and the process with that, because you have to inspect what you expect, right? And things that send your attention grow, and things that you don't send your attention, you're subconsciously saying doesn't matter. And we're business owners and we have to show that this matters. So the things that matter, find those KPIs, if you will, and then track those every day, every single day.
And that really kind of rolls into our next question, as yeah, I kind of wanted to know from all of you is what does an optimal day look like for you? Because a lot of agents, you know, their day runs them. They're reactive, and you know they get up in the morning, they don't have a plan, and by the end of the day, they've really not moved their business forward, especially in their key areas of focus. So for you, Curtis, what does your optimal day look like for your team and also for you?
So it's pretty cool. Things have changed over probably the last year in my business that, you know, the pressure's gone. And, you know, the reality is, you know, I'm making more now than I've ever made from a passive standpoint. You know, just insane amount of money with that. And so what that does, that actually just changes, you know, changes how I run my team from a standpoint is I'm a lot less, you know, in the past, if there was someone that kind of annoyed me, I just kind of turned the other cheek. Now it's like, I've kind of got a no a-hole rule. If you're an a-hole, you go, right? It's like, if I don't want to work with you, you go. And so there's some freedom with that. We think we all have from a client standpoint, but sometimes we are a little bit more accepting of teammates that maybe aren't acting the way that we want. And so that's kind of cool. And, you know, the reality is, you know, it's going to sound totally weird, but the thing is now is I wake up or I you know, the night before is I pray who needs me in their life today, right? And that's really what I do is I just, you know, try and reach out to people or try and go, you know, is there anybody I can be helpful to? And that's one of the really cool things about this model is it changes from always chasing and running after and trying to find this one thing that we all have servants' hearts, right? But we're so busy trying to sell houses that sometimes we can't serve people. And so that's kind of what my world is right now is I just go, who can I spend time with that would make a difference? Who, you know, is there anybody that I can, you know, trying to slow down and go, how can I help this person if possible? I know that's probably a hokey answer. That's kind of what my day is right now. Is like, who can I reach out to? Who needs some love? Who needs a little bit of attention? And try and do that. And that's not my natural style. My natural style is just to get in and work, keep my head down, and just be oblivious to everything else. So I'm trying to change in that regard.
Well, and that's kind of the gift of revenue share, especially as you grow it. It does take a lot of the pressure off of the daily grind of your real estate business. So let's look here. Spike, tell us a little bit about what your optimal day looks like, given your focus on your geo farm and your relationship building.
Sure. I gotta mention Curtis though. He's done such a great job at revenue sharing. You can just see how relaxed he is because he has that revenue coming in, and you know, really, it's amazing. So that's the area we're really focusing on this year. We're getting better at it. But so our optimum day kind of starts the night before. I think Curtis mentioned a little bit. We write down sort of our task for tomorrow, or what we need to accomplish tomorrow when we're done for the day. And really, I just find I sleep better if I don't have to think about it. So I write it all down. I go to sleep, and then I get up the next morning and we accomplish that task. It's a little different for me though. My wife and I work together, so relationship is very important. So when we get up in the morning, you know, before any real estate starts, you know, there's no real estate in bed. That's always that's a priority. When we get up in the morning, we have coffee together, we sit there and we talk, and we really talk more about our relationship things. And then we move into real estate and we're done with that. That's pretty important. But our optimum day is we're organized the night before, we get organized in the morning, focus on relationship, focusing on business. And then we really just kind of implement our business. I found before we were organized, we just talked too much all day long about things. And now, just like a business partner, you know, we all have our tasks, we all have our responsibilities. And after we get focusing on the morning, the day just is organized and moves along that day. We have different responsibilities, so it really, really works out well. we love working together. I got to tell you, that was a big bonus. I didn't think my wife and I would work well together, but one of the things I've learned is she's more competitive than I am, which really surprised me. And we really enjoy working together. But from a focus area, it's just really all about relationships, right? People want to buy from people they trust, they like, they got some sort of commonality. Sellers want the best price for their home in the shortest period of time, and buyers want to fall in love. So we focus more on relationship with sellers so that they do want to sell, that they think about us.
Well, my background is obviously, and Curtis knows this, Eric and I are also a husband and wife team, and it really changes how you focus on the day. I know that's something that we personally struggle with, is sometimes we're going opposite directions, not in the same direction. And so having to do the same thing that you do, planning that day ahead of time and really knowing what the day is going to look, how's it going to be, we're going to measure the success by the end of the day. And that's still something that we're learning.
Yeah, it doesn't sound sexy, but we really measure it by money. How much profit do we have? How much are we making? How much are we saving? Those are things that there's no reason to be in business if you're not making money.
Those are important.
Exactly. So Jim, tell me a little bit about what your optimal day looks like. I mean, like today you've decided to kind of to distance yourself and lock yourself away and get some business done so you can get back to the family later and really focus on them. So tell me a little bit about what a perfect day or the optimal day looks like given your focus in your business.
Well, the optimal day I haven't seen in quite a while with the rebuilding process that I'm on. So my optimal day would be having a team meeting first thing in the morning. Rebuilding, we're definitely a God-fearing based company, and so we are starting our morning out with our team huddle, team devotion, and that's been an amazing change. But from that point, I would like to be able to walk out the door and say, love you guys, have a great day, and go hang out with my family and do something that I enjoy for myself. But unfortunately, that's not the position in life I'm in right now. So it's really, I think, figuring out the income producing activities that have given you the success that you have, and how do you focus on those, and how do you get all the monkey mind and squirrels that we chase around all day off your table and get them to someone else that can take that workload off your plate. And I'm struggling with that every day right now, because I've gone from having about 8 people on my team down to 2. And so our production and business is still there, but I'm failing every day at it, because we're just maintaining, and we're just trying to, until we can bring the right people on board, we have to do what we have to do. So we're definitely not in an optimal situation right now. We do have the projections and the business goal of where it's going, and we just brought one person on 2 weeks ago. That's been a huge help, and I need 2 more within the next 30 to 60 days. And then that will be able to help me focus on the income producing activities that I know where I have the success in, and getting the rest of the BS off my plate that right now I'm forced to handle all of it. So long days.
Right. So Curtis, how about you? I mean, obviously, you tell us a little bit about how you let sort of the universe almost kind of direct your day. So given that you're out there really looking for how you could impact their lives, tell me a little bit about what advice you would give, and we're going to kind of break this up, one to a new agent, one to an experienced agent. So for a new agent, what kind of advice do you give them to help them discover the best strategies for their success?
Yeah, you know what? I think both of those answers kind of would be very similar, and that would be find someone that has the life that you want, that you emulate, right? That you want to be around, their business, their personal life. Find that target, and then try and get in their space, right? Try and get as close as you can. Like I tell people, it's the smartest thing you could do your first year is, even if you just go apprentice somewhere and say, you know what, I need to go take out a loan because you probably aren't going to make as much money as what you think anyways. And you just need to go be around them, right? See what Deanna does every day. Like just be around and see what that is and see what the mentality, because there's a reason why winners win. But so often people are so concerned about that pennies that they step over dollars to get to dimes, right? And so I would say is go find somebody and go work with the best, right? Whoever that is, right? Because, and it doesn't mean like, okay, that's the person that sells the most homes in your market, because that's not always the case. Sometimes their life is a wreck. You don't want that, right? It's someone that might be, hey, it might be this single mom that is still selling houses but still has that quality of life you want. That's great. Then do that. Try and get in their world. See if you can bring value to them instead of going, what can I take out of this relationship? What can you bring to it? Like, hey, I just want to be a part of your team. Here's what I can do. And I think if you go from that standpoint, that's what I would do for any new person. Is I wouldn't even ask about the splits. It's immaterial. 100% of nothing's nothing. What is going to teach them? And then I would say the same thing as an existing agent that's done well or whatever, is I would say that same exact thing, right? Because if you're not where you want to get, it's because you either don't know something or you don't know somebody. And so you've got to get around those people. And so I would say is lose the ego, forget everything that got you where you think you wanted to be, and have some humility to say, hey, you know what? I'm willing to take a step back to go to where I want to get to. So I'd say both those answers are, it's all about who, and more often than not, once someone has sold a few houses, they stop learning and they stop going that the answer's outside, and they just go, well, I just have to work harder and be more miserable. That's not what it is. It's because you're probably not opening yourself up and you're so egotistical that you won't allow the answer to come into your life.
I agree. I know that growing up, my dad was he was a colonel in the Army, been in the military. I think he retired at 34 years. And one of the things he always told me, he's like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And he would always say, he's like, the whole point isn't to be the guy in charge or the smartest one on the stage, because you're not going to learn, you're not going to grow. And when I started real estate personally, as a new agent, I was at a company that, there weren't a lot of teams or anything, but we had some pretty significant producers. I remember walking around the office, asked the broker who were the top producers, and I picked the cube that had this big column in the middle of it. Everyone's like, why would you sit there? And I went there from 8 in the morning till 5 at night, and all I did was listen. You could hear everybody, all the top producers' offices were right there. You got to listen to them, and it wasn't a very profitable year. However, I got to see how they ran their businesses and kind of identified where I wanted my business to be. And we kind of continued that philosophy from business to business or from broker to broker, and realized that, we always had to align ourselves and change who we aligned ourselves so we would learn more and be pushed to be bigger and better. So that's really good advice there. Jim, what about you? What kind of advice would you give a brand new agent, and what kind of advice would you give sort of an existing agent who's looking to step up their game and kind of maybe break through a barrier? Maybe they're at a ceiling in their production. What kind of things would you say?
Regarding the trying to get agents that are new entering in the business to understand that it is an industry that you can be financially well off. You can make huge amounts of income, but it's still a business and you still have to learn it. You don't walk into it day one. And like Curtis had said, what's my split as a brand new agent? We get it all the time. And so, my response to that is, it's always the same, that the one thing I've learned from interviewing hundreds and hundreds of agents is broke agents, that's usually the first question out of their mouth, and successful agents ask, what kind of net income or what kind of income can I make? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The other question I'll lead with is, would you rather own 100% of my company or 1% of Google? The splits are irrelevant, but it has such a stigma in our industry that it gets so many agents that they're never able to get beyond that and have success in the industry. So definitely, there's no manual that comes with this industry. And so if you're new, get with the people that are having success in the industry and join their team, or shadow them, help them, do whatever you can to learn from them, and it'll all come from there. But you have to understand there is a vesting period, and you don't become a doctor, you don't go into these professions that we're making the same kind of income in and go through classes for 30 days and all of a sudden you're making 6-7 figures in a year. And it's just a big misperception that of our industry, and that's why 90% of the people, and at least in our market, never renew their license after they get it, because they don't make enough to pay for the fees to just stay in the industry. And I also like what Curtis had stated is a very important fact too, is it's not all just based on the numbers. It's you really need to lay out your goals. What are your goals in this business? If it's strictly based on income and numbers, then go with the people that are the top producers. But if you're looking for a balanced life, or you're looking to grow as a person, you're looking to grow in relationships, there's a lot of other important aspects of who you align yourself with. As far as experienced agents, or agents that are kind of mid-stage in their career and they're looking to get to another level, from what I've seen, I highly recommend you need to associate yourself with people that are doing it at a higher level. And the best way to get that consistently is to get coaching. Any industry that we're in, look at all these professional sports athletes, they have a coach for every aspect of the game. And we're in an industry that, again, can have a significant financial outcome, but you have to invest in your business. And I think coaching is an aspect that every single person in this industry should have.
Very, very true, Jim. What's your kind of your take on? There's a lot of coaches out there. And we got a lot of folks came from a brokerage where it was like, get a coach, get a coach, get a coach. How do you recommend people coaching? How would you identify the kind of coaching that you would need in a business, and how would an agent kind of make that choice? Do you have any advice on that?
Sure. The decision on the alignment or the direction to go in that really depends on your financial capability and what you can afford. So that can really narrow your options that you have. I like the option of having even part-time multiple coaches, because from the coaches that I've had, they have such a different, vast alignment and focus on what they're teaching and what they're knowledgeable in. So you could get one coach that is an expert in one area of the business, but it's maybe not the area of the business that's going to give you the success you need. So, there's endless coaches out there. I think you really need to narrow down where you are weak and write out a list of where you need to grow, and then go from there. Who's the expert in that? Because like you said, there's plenty of coaches out there in our industry.
Yeah, especially in real estate, you can, hit one in any corner of a room. So, and that's one of the things I've noticed too, is I've gone through a whole lot of coaching over the last couple of years, and just have to know who's the right person, what's a type, what do you need at that point in your business?
Well,
Spike, go ahead.
Just one more point on that. That was really important that I need to include is the decision that I made with coming over to EXP was highly based off of where I was weak and where I needed the coaching and the opportunity of the people that I had to align with, like Curtis and Kyle Whistle, Dan Beer. Those are all people in my network, and they are at a level where I want to be and I need to go. And that's a big unseen that people sometimes take for granted within EXP, is the way the company's structured is I have access to these people at any time I need them. They're willing to take the time and the effort. One, we have a good group of people that are just caring and people that are willing to help, but also the financial impact that everyone has vested in people in your network doesn't hurt either. That's a big driving force, and that's just the reality of it. And it's such an ingenious way that they structure the companies this way. And I was able to get out of business with one of my coaches that saved me a significant amount of money and take my learning to a higher level just with my network.
Yeah, that was kind of the same decision for Eric and I, you know, with that whole theory of don't be the smartest person in the room. And that's what I found with EXP also was that growth mindset, access to so many more people who were willing, you know, like Curtis, he's one of the folks who really supports us, Fred and Kevin. And so that was a big change for us too. And that really, really spoke to our philosophy of you know, get in the right room. And we did. So Spike, tell me a little bit about what advice you would give a brand new agent or an experienced agent. And also if you have anything else you want to add on the whole coaching concept.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with coaching because I was not a big believer in coaching my entire life. I come from the franchising industry, and you know, I spent my adult life telling people how to be successful in their own business. And I said, I don't need a coach. And then, you know, then I hired a coach, and I realized, like, holy crap, like I suck. And you know, it's interesting because you become very comfortable with yourself, right? It's your concept. You think it's good. You love it. You're going the right direction. And a good coach will help you see your blind spots, so to speak, right? Like, we're all a product of our programming, our experiences. And you don't want to hire a coach that's comfortable and it's going to tell you how great you are. You want to hire a coach that can just, you know, instantly see where your blind spots are you can't see, and make you aware of them. I would pick a coach for a test drive. I think any good coach will have some sort of initial coaching program, or maybe do some initial calls, at least one initial call for you, and just learn more about it that way, and you'll find the right person as you talk to them. We also align ourselves with other agents. We have another agent that, you know, I personally just, he knows everything about me. I know everything about him. He's equally or more successful than I am. And I run concepts by him all the time. He and I probably talk to each other twice a week, 3 times a week, and just sharing concepts. We're very honest with each other. But for new agents, get in action. So like Curtis said, you know, if you don't join a team, you know, align yourself with a team that you can just see their type of activity and be consistent with their activity, and just learn that way. A lot of new agents join and they just kind of think like, I'll just become a realtor and I'll be successful. And then 6 months later, they got to pay their association dues again. Like, well, you know, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, because they really didn't do anything. But from a new agent, get into action, join a team or volunteer at a team that you can see their activity. Also, become comfortable with social media. If you're not comfortable with social media, become very comfortable with it very quickly. It is absolutely free advertising, right? Where else can you put yourself out there and build your business without paying money? I believe you could probably sell 20, 30 transactions a year as a brand new agent just by becoming good at social media. From an experienced agent standpoint, first thing I would do is I'd read Profit First, the book by Michael McAllowitz, and just understand where you're at in your business. And then I would really consider some coaching and moving forward. But be careful in real estate. I was very surprised when I got into real estate. I looked up to these people. Like, I met this guy, I remember, maybe sold 400 transactions a year. And I was like, holy crap. Like, he was on a panel and I was like, that guy is impressive. And I'm listening to him talk, I'm thinking to myself, I could do 1,000 then. If he could do 400, I could do 1,000. And as I learned more about him, he was just listing new homes on the MLS for Ryan Homes. So he wasn't selling anything. Every time Ryan Homes sold a home, he got credit for it. So his 400 transactions, almost all of them were just pass-throughs to the MLS he wasn't even getting paid on. And that really opened up my eyes how a lot of people in real estate kind of talk about that, and you don't really know how much they make. So from the experienced agent standpoint, you know, get profit first. It's all about money. No reason to be in business if you're not making money. If you're not making money, and you know, do something else. The most amazing thing about being self-employed is you get paid what you're worth, right? The horrible thing about being self-employed is you get paid what you're worth. So, and get a good coaching program. That's about it.
Curtis, do you want to add anything to that? Because I see you nodding a lot in agreement.
No, I mean, I think they nailed it. I mean, they really did. I mean, I think Profit First is a great book. I think coaching, I've hired, you know, almost every the top coaches out there. I've coached with almost every coaching system. So I think you can learn something from almost everything. I think there's a shelf life for coaches to a certain extent. I think that after maybe a couple years, not that the coach gets any worse. Some of them do. Some of them only have a playbook that only goes a certain level, and then you need to go, okay, what's that next level like? but everybody's different. Like there's certain coaches that probably couldn't get through to me right now, and there's certain could, and then there's certain other coaches that would be offensive to other people that would maybe be what I need right now, right? So you have to find that right fit. So kind of like what Spike said, and there's incredible coaches at different levels, but I kind of a guy I work with, he always says, a different level, different devil. And I think you've got to have a different strategy at each level.
Right, true. All right, guys, we're kind of wrapping up, getting close to the end of our little Zoom call here. And does anybody have any final thoughts that they would want to share, in relation to keeping your business simple for a bigger business, bigger rev share, better life, or any other thing you'd like to add?
I'll just leave one last thought, and that would be, no matter what you're doing, is make sure it's effective before you scale it, right? So prove that it works. I mean, almost all of us have done it, and almost everybody that they go, well, I've got this idea, and they scale it without ever even showing that it works, right? So kind of Spike, an easy example is in farming, right? Is instead of going to 10,000 homes, try it on like 300 and make sure it works, and then scale it, right? Or anyone in our business, but so far, most people scale way before they've proven that it works. So find out what works and then scale it.
Good advice. Anything else, guys?
I would say continuous self-improvement and self-evaluation. All the times I'm in meetings, I say things, and as the words leave my mouth, I'm trying to grab them out of the air and bring them back. And just be honest with yourself. Nobody's perfect. Everybody needs to learn more, and just continue to better yourself in all aspects. I read at least one book a month or listen to an audio. It's funny. I have certain books I listen to, and I know like my mode, the mood that I'm in, and how I need to improve. And I'll go right to that book. I'm like, yeah, that's good. So that's what I have to say.
All right. How about you, Jim? Anything else you'd like to wrap up with? Go.
Let me unmute. I was just reading, it was earlier this week, reading an article talking about leaders, and regardless of what industry it is leaders are readers. And that's something, I'm not much of a reader, so I've had to go to the Audible version and just find what works. If you don't read, Audible works great. Figure out a time of day when you can do it and plug in. And once you really start getting focused on educating and self-educating, it can change your whole life, not just business-wise, but mindset, family, everything. So I love what you said, Spike. I think that's, I haven't always done that, and now committing to that, I see a huge difference in basically every aspect of my life.
All right. Okay. Well, gentlemen, I really want to thank you guys for sharing an hour out of all of your busy days. I know we're all working really hard trying to either rebuild businesses or pivot our businesses in this current interesting economy. So thank you so much, and it's been an honor.
Thank you, Deanna. Thank you for setting it up. You did a great job. We appreciate it.
All right, guys, take care and prosper.
God bless you guys.
Okay, bye-bye.